Hello, parents. Hello, parents. How are you? I'm barging into my own playlist to have some information for you. I thought I'd give you a break from my diatribes, alias emails, and just say this information instead. And I have kind of crummy keyboard skills, so and that way you can always just put me on pause or click me off when you need to. Thanks for patience in the last while. So we'll do a little bit of catch up and then a little bit of current standing and a little bit of into the future information. I'm really genuinely tickled and thrilled to be your child's teacher this year and to be part of your family, especially now that, as I'm describing it, I'm invading your home every day. You know, people sent their kids to school, at least there was a separate experience, but now we're invading your homes. So thanks for patience in all that lies ahead and now. And genuinely, I'm really tickled. I was thrilled to meet the kids a few weeks ago and move from a name on a piece of paper to a being in front of me who you love, and I am already feeling that way. The energy around kindergarten is like nothing else, and even in this remote and distant experience, kindergarten is just magic. 35 years of doing it, clearly it's working for me. And so, thank you. And then I know I've been not communicative or responsive to emails this week. The amount of information pouring in to us right now is extraordinary. I reduced my emails over the summer. I won't tell you what I started with, but I was kind of trying to keep a holding pattern of 30, and it's over 300 now in just a couple of days with the amount of district and building information coming through, and then grade level. Not to press you off in communicating with me, please do, you take priority, except this week. Every single day was 8 hours and then 2 to 3 hours to build upon the information we're given. So I know I'm behind. I'm glad that it's still before school officially opens, so I'm going to forgive myself that amount of time, and I'm going to try to get to everything by Friday night. And try to take 2 days over this weekend to stop. So please keep coming, but I do apologize in advance for not getting back as quickly as I would typically do, just because of that. As I described it, it's a fire hose of information. Much of it good, some of it repetitive, and some of it corrected in 5 subsequent emails as the status of work items keep changing. So just a little insight on that, not excusing, but just trying to explain if I haven't replied to you. That's kind of at this level. I'm going to look at the serving on my plate, which is you and your family. School starting soon. I hope the videos that I've done for the last bunch of days and will up through Monday have been serving you well. As I mentioned, it was great meeting the kids and then having meetings, and then I just felt that there was kind of withdrawal from both sides. I was missing the contact and relationships I was establishing, and was hoping that on the other side kids were thinking, hey, where did he go? He was around here a whole lot and then he's gone. And as I counted the days from the first meeting to kind of the last, it would be a 15 to 20 day delay in my reconnecting unless I did those overtures. And I'm hoping that you and kids saw the commitment that I wanted to establish, that it's an ongoing relationship, and in many cases it lasts a lifetime, or until you delete me from your inbox. Yeah, let's tell you about that. So yes, okay. So I hope that has worked well. And countdown. With this whole remote learning, I keep coming back to a couple of main points. One is that I continually say to anyone who will listen to me that K, 6th, and 9th graders need to be handled differently than everybody else in the district, because they don't have that relationship and commitment to a building that represents school to them. And so I am frequently pushing and raising my hand and advocating, occasionally objecting to points that are being raised because we need to be treated differently. And for 6th and 9th graders, I have beloved kids and families in each of those grade levels too. And so with that in mind, I've worked on some projects and questioned some models of information coming in. And one of the pieces that I did a workaround was to create that video series. And aligned with that is I keep thinking, what are the nuggets we can take from this atypical year and carry forward in a way that we build and grow into new possibilities. And one of them I'm going to work through with technology and videos. I'm not quite certain that just no longer having videos for kids is in the best interest of the format and relationship that I'm looking for. Probably not to the extent I had in the spring of 12 to 17 videos per day, but still looking at the possibility of something. So when I disinvade your home at the end of the morning or afternoon slot, there's still a place for kids to hear a story or to have some work reviewed or something like that. So Monday won't necessarily be the cutoff for the video idea. That model I'm looking to see, and so just recognize that. I really do have an agenda, I'm not just free from thinking. So there's that piece in there. Okay, and then I have a bunch of points here that are, I think, time sensitive, that I want to just review with you. The building has received some of the devices. They started with the intermediate grades and have been releasing those to families in the last couple of days. Kindergarten devices, which are going to be iPads. It was PCs for, I believe it's 3 and 5, and iPads for K2, definitely for K. And those are on their way. They will not be here by Tuesday the 8th. So regrettably, the model of your child being live with me will require a home device, and I hope that can be managed. And that's part I'm kind of thinking of how to accommodate that in case it doesn't work, because the district rendered devices are unlikely to be in your hands at that point, realistically. They're throwing some dates around. I'm not going to mention those because if they don't work out, I want that signature on my work. So they are coming. The recommendation is that even if you believe your family has enough devices, is that you still take these. Your denial of the device does not mean somebody else more worthy gets it. That has been questioned and raised already by both families in 103, Bryant, and other places. The district is telling us that they have enough for every kid, so to get it. And of course, because it's district property, that you get service and support for that, and the updates coming through the system will be equalized. So we are told to tell you to please count on accepting one of the devices. Yes, but until that date, which should be relatively soon from what I understand, we'll need to have you use a home device. Okay, so the part I'm thinking about, I may as well let you lead on it, is I'm kind of thinking about Teams. I'm still learning of recording the live sessions for a little bit, so they can be archived where they go. I need to figure out, I haven't taken that part of the training yet. And the other is to potentially film using my camera behind the laptop and film the video series like in small segments. So like, read aloud in attendance could be one video. I probably get up from the live session, click off, click on, pause, remote control. And then, so there could be a series of videos for families who may have technical difficulties or show up late or don't have the device at hand. It's priority order, maybe the 4th grader gets it first or so, because we're all working at the same time. So that's my kind of workaround thinking, and then we can still archive the work over time. So it may be a rougher format, but I think that has merit. So put it on the side. There are 3 LMS, Learning Management Systems, that we are learning. Consider myself an intelligent person. My brain cells are being taxed with these 3 systems all at the same time. There's an Amplify Science platform. Then there is Seesaw, which is the bigger learning platform. They'll have a longer run and use in our classroom. And then Teams. And they're all coming in at the same time. And there's been only training but no practice time afforded with those yet. So I'm going to be at rudimentary level with them. Teams will be the first and most critical one for use, because that's the platform to use for the live instruction. And what I'm thinking of for you and your family, if you're able to, certainly before Tuesday, since you're using home devices, is that you download the software application for Teams and have that ready with an account to use on Tuesday. And that the couple of things, the 3 things I think for your child to become familiar with, or at least find the icons and have some familiarity with them, are simply on and off. And then once it's on, leave it on, and then you come back and turn it off or so, but just that they maybe would recognize when it's off and when it's on, it's closing down or so. The leave button, just a red button in the top right corner, and then camera on and off, and microphone on and off. That's going to be, I think, the bumpiest road, copable, but it's just going to be bumpy for kids talking and competing sounds and stuff. So if you have any chance in the weekend to review those couple of tools with your kids, it will be very useful. And then that's when I'm trying to stay 2 days ahead of everybody, and we're just going to use it as a basic. It goes on at 8:30 and it goes off at 10:30 or ish. Yeah. Okay. The K team and first grade team are already talking about Seesaw coming in later into the fall, October-ish, and whatever, because the amount of detailed strategies, tools, applications within it, even at the basic level, are a lot for 5, 6, 7-year-olds. Whereas the live instruction feels like school, looks like school, sounds like school, and will have the greatest dynamic as well as the opportunity to do relationship building. So Teams as high need familiarity and daily use for. And I will be setting up a daily Teams meeting, recurring, that's Monday through Friday, and just keeps going. So you just kind of keep that link, and it will just be the one that you come back to every single day. It won't be changing every day for the foreseeable future. And then Seesaw, in a couple of weeks I'll send you the links to a couple of good parent tutorials that I did watch, and you can explore on your own, but you have enough going on. But I'll send that out to you with enough time to do some advanced time exploration with it, and then with your child at some point. But I'm shoving that right off the cliff. Okay. Next is the schedule. The district and Bryant's schedule has changed many times this week. I took the charge upon myself to create a kindergarten schedule that we all would be able to sign on to as applicable to all of our classrooms. It's how I operate best. Plan sheet model that I can reference, and if I work in it, then I know it, and then I have it in my brain for the rest of the day. And I'm also supporting my intern and Ms. Sorensen, and I know that they would welcome having that kind of document in front of them, so I spent the last couple of nights really developing that to a really, I think, a solid foundational opener. The K team is meeting tomorrow to review it and then kind of approve it, the elements of it that would be uniform for all of us, and then we'd have our individual tendencies and items in there, but we'd be able to know that K-Team is doing this at this time-ish. And once we set that up, then our hope is tomorrow is to be able to send you a rough draft of it, not the day-to-day lessons, but the day-to-day categories. So ELA, English Language Arts, is in this block of time. Break, math is in this block of time. Lunch recess is in this block of time. So you have a sense of the working that we're shooting for. At this point, the big block is 8:30 to 10:30 with live instruction. Yeah. Within that, we talked about respecting the expectation of students to be developing, as we would any time of the year, in any typical year, that students are developing the stamina and the attention ability to pay attention to teacher speak and instruction, and then have social time with peers in a typical year setting, and still will expect that kind of parallel experience for them as well. So with that in mind, for example, we condensed the hour of Math ELA, starting points about 40 minutes, and thinking usually that's like 8 periods. As a former high school teacher, I have lots of my days thinking about a 6-period day. And so within that block of time, whether it's 40 or 60, it will gradually increase over time. We look at them as kind of 5-minute periods. So a read aloud, and then we take a break, and then some word work, and then we do something else. If we were in the classroom, it would be come up front for a read aloud, and then, we have to remember to put our jackets away, which I would do intentionally. So that would mean we'd leave, they think I don't know what I'm doing, and they go out to the jackets, they socialize and talk, well, they put their jackets away, and then come back to tables, and then I call them up front for some word work. Same thing. Oh, I don't think we took out our pencils for later. Stand up, get along, socialize. So lots of movement, just for socialization and energy release. Although we're in front of the screen, I've set up this similar kind of schedule, and the preview today with the K-Team meeting is that they think it looks good. And so, for example, we would have a read aloud, and then there's going to be movement. Recognizing that in some of your homes there's going to be other people working, and so I will be instructing the students, and you can reinforce at home, that the volume should be low to 0. We're talking about voice levels in the building, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 is silent, 1 is very quiet. That when they are taking their physical breaks, that they're not disturbing you who may be working, younger sibling napping, other siblings working on schoolwork. The preview for that is recognizing that at this point, that every 5 to 7, 8, 10 minutes, the kids are going to get up and leave and do something. And it is part of the program. You can just check, I'm going to call them movement breaks. And then you can say, are you in a movement break? And they should be saying yes, or I'm cutting class. Hopefully not. And so, last night and waking up crazy early this morning, just wrote out 6 weeks of them with about 8 of them per day. 240 ideas. And so they're easy things like see if you can find a printed word in your house and go point to it. So they might leave their work area and go look for a headline on a newspaper, point to that, and then just come back. Sometimes I'll ask them, what did you find? They might answer me as we practice those behaviors. Other times it's just to do that. There are also things like stretching, so arm circles or palm flip-flops, just so they are moving, sometimes in the seat, sometimes at their work area, walk around the table backwards. Other times it's leave and go count how many pillows are in your living room. And so recognize that is built into the system. We'll be explaining that, but just so you see when kids seem to be working, all of a sudden, bing, it's just respecting the body of a 5 and 6-year-old. Okay. This is not interactive clearly, but we will do this again in a Teams meeting, Zoom Teams meeting, for both curriculum night, a night that has not been discussed, and also thinking again, family tech times, and offering kind of informal chats along the way, because again, we miss that opportunity to chit-chat with each other and pick up and drop off to build our own relationship and share information. Which reminds me, anytime you can, the kindergarten questionnaire, that more developed list of questions to help me understand your student a little bit more. A photo of the student, just a nice, generally portrait, not like standing far away in the soccer uniform on the field, but something close so we can have a static image to be able to look at students in our class and not just the movement that they'll be doing on the screen. And then anything you can supply about tech time. Things have been mandated to us, and I'm still looking to see if the places that I can adjust and try to accommodate the majority of you in the times that have a little bit more fluidity to them, although there's less fluidity than I anticipated. Yes, and then at some point, we'll be using this as a later fun task, is when your child has a dedicated workspace, no rush on this is several weeks out. If you send me a photo of what their table setup looks like with the computer and their materials, or if they're working on a little desk in their room, or have an allocated alcove or kitchen table that they're working on, we're going to use that for a fun activity. And so you can send a photo of that as well. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, let me talk about that. Supply list. That's been juggled around a little bit. Tomorrow the K-Team is meeting, and we expect to finalize the opening calendar schedule that we think could work for a number of weeks, and the other is the supply list. In the past, PTSA did a wonderful, massive bulk purchase, and then volunteers distributed them, and then you paid PTSA, just made it very clean. Prices were low because they were getting it at bulk prices. This year is just this one task too many that they can not undertake. So we've been talking about supplies for about 4 days already. So tomorrow we're expecting to finish that. So you get 2 documents tomorrow, schedule and then supply list. And I know already crayons and markers. The hope is always that people buy the same stuff that we have on the supply list, even though you are at home, because the world changes for the better and suddenly we're in. The students have the same tools. One's got glitter and one's got sparkly, smelly. It can lead to some competitive things in the room. It could be far off, but we'll still ask for uniformity in the supplies that we request. For next week, they just need color things. So markers or crayons, whatever you've got, we'll use. And then later, once everyone has the supplies, then I will be explaining and saying this is a marker activity, this is a crayon activity, to be aware of that. We are pooling, the K-Team is pooling the supplies we have left over from various years, and we can supply probably half of what we would normally request you to buy. So Ziploc tool bag and pencils and some whiteboard markers. We'll give everybody whiteboards as a long-term borrow, a little bit better scissors as a long-term borrow. So we're going to prepare that, and then we'll make plans for another come meet opportunity. We're going to talk calendar tomorrow too, of coming back again when possible. Hopefully you and child and family, or if it's more expedient, somebody just needs to come and get that so we can pass you some of the supplies that we're going to pass you, save some bucks. And so that is the expectation for tomorrow, is to have a supply list schedule and hopefully a calendar date on when that could be. Speaking of calendar, I have a monthly calendar with a monthly newsletter that comes out at the beginning of the month. I'm almost ready to publish that, and so of course I'm building, so a lot of the pieces are kind of gone, but so you have it. It needs to be updated because of all the changes that just happened this afternoon, so more likely next week than this weekend. But a monthly calendar and accompanying supportive information in the newsletter that will be coming out. When we are in building, the students color code the calendar, and we would normally start that in October, and I expect to do the same thing this year as well. And it's a long process. It usually takes us about 2 days to do that, especially October is a full month. It's usually 5 weeks. And but the nice part is that once it's color coded, it can be hanging up on the refrigerator. You can read the words, and kids can read the colors. So pink is PE day, and orange is library day, and yellow is art. So they can look at me and say, oh, today I am having a science lesson. And so they begin to take knowledge of their schedule. So I'm still hoping that model can still work remotely. But there will be one coming realistically again by next week. And again, coming back to that stamina piece, because I believe I do respect what kids can and cannot do, just based upon stamina, duration, attention. It's going to be a slow rollout. All the time I talk about September to December being the period where a lifetime of educational skills are acquired by students in kindergarten, specifically in the 103. And that's true now. And so the rollout now, because we're definitely missing this people part, and I have great grieving over that, but I think I can do some exchanging replication, can't quite replace them, where we do learn about each other and hopefully learn to love and respect each other gradually over time. And what I'm looking for at the beginning is kids being there. And by the content pieces being in small increments and then taking a break, gradually over time those cognitive content pieces would keep increasing. So 5 or 6 minutes the first couple of weeks, and then I'm adding about 2 more minutes, 7 and 8, depending on where they are that moment and the type of work, and then moving break may get a little bit shorter, but it's about keeping them with me. And while still understanding that this is an entirely new skill set on this side of the camera, let alone it is for them. And so along the way, do let me know. It's kind of that same idea as I mentioned before, is I'm going to be attempting to read them as best possible when they're in front of me on the screen in a gallery view, but it's definitely a skill set I need to acquire versus being in front of 25 kids. I know every single one of them is head and heart by paying careful attention to them, and I'm going to miss that dynamic, and I need to build up that skill set and repertoire online. So as you see and hear things, please feel free to communicate with me. Yes, your emails I need that tell me, today went well, she seems to fade kind of after 10:30 or so, and so I can hear that, put things together, and then attempt to respect and address it as best possible within the constraints of the schedule that I do have control over. But that's the part I really will welcome your home information to me about. So please keep that in mind. Thank you. There are more things to talk about, but I can't see my clock from here, but I'm guessing it's been a while. But I wanted this rollout information to be in your hands now. I'm going to post it tonight. This is Thursday. So you have it to look at whenever you want to. The last big piece, the big news is, yay! Mr. Silberman! Andre Silberman has arrived. We've been communicating for just a week today, I think. Yeah, ish, week and a half. It's all a blur. And was it the commentator in South America does goal, score, super score, and having this young man in our classroom and company. Anyone I interviewed with UW would have been a fine fit in the classroom. I interviewed 8 or 9 people. They have a very wonderful process, kind of carousel model, and they send us people who are interested in Bryant, and then people who are interested in primary, and occasionally get people who are interested in kindergarten specifically. And all of them would have been great. He was my top choice, and then they have choices and preference lists as well, and then someone has a master schedule spreadsheet. I can only imagine Dr. Bird up at the UW what her spreadsheet might look like for 60 interns, 60 mentors in 30 to 40 schools, and juggling all these preference lists. But I kept lighting my candles and talking to the moon, and we lucked out. And so, since we were both tops on each other's list, it's been a genuine, if I can say that already, love fest already with this guy. Thought